All right, hi, I'm standing out in front of Island Top Team Martial Arts Academy right here in Nanaimo. This is owned and operated by Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt Rob Biernacki. Rob has built an incredible school right here in Nanaimo, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. Rob will be here any minute, but what Rob doesn't know is at the end of this video, I'm gonna be challenging him to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu showdown where I'm gonna try to take his black belt. So stay tuned for that. I think Rob's just around the corner. Here he comes. All right, I'm standing here with Rob Biernacki, owner and operator of Island Top Team here in Nanaimo. Really excited to learn more about your business, Rob. Rob's been in business since 2012 when you opened your school. Also the same year that you got your black belt, I hear.
That's correct.
Which is a pretty impressive feat. Your business is located in Unit 7, 2525 McCullough Road. That's right by the Andrew Sherritt is what I always use as a navigator. Also the Red Cross building just at the end of the road here. So you've been in business 6 years. Full disclosure, I've been actually training with Rob on and off since about 2013. Wish my schedule permitted me to come a lot more often than it does, but nevertheless, I'm certainly a student here, know very well the level of martial arts that's offered here, and getting to know more about Rob over the last few years. I thought he'd be a perfect person for us to launch our MYVIWHY community profile campaign because Rob's situated his business here on central Vancouver Island for some really specific reasons. And Rob could have been really situated his business anywhere on the planet and found a following. So we're really happy to have you here in Nanaimo. I certainly am. There was a real gap in the martial arts training here in Nanaimo for years. I moved here in 2007, and it really wasn't until you showed up that we had, in my opinion, a caliber of martial arts here that is really at a world-class level, and it's really awesome to have you there. So with that in mind, I'm gonna jump into our first question, Rob, which is, why did you decide to set up your business right here in central Vancouver Island?
Well, the main reason is to be close to family. My mom retired and moved here. My mom was a teacher. Teaches something different than what I teach, but I'd traveled all over North America, been training, got my black belt. I visited Nanaimo, and I saw, like you mentioned, there wasn't maybe the highest quality, especially not of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is what I teach.
Right.
And I wanted to be closer to my mom. I wanted to be closer to my family. I also wanted to create a little bit of I guess an opportunity to do an experiment. If I had opened up in a larger metropolis, there would have been a lot of, let's say, other choices, right? Like I have a very unique way of teaching Jiu-Jitsu, and I wanted to have an opportunity to use I guess, to a certain degree, the geographic isolation of Nanaimo and take advantage of which was, if people wanted to do Jiu-Jitsu in Nanaimo and they wanted to do like legit good Jiu-Jitsu, they had to come to me. Which means I got to run this experiment on how can I introduce this new methodology, this new way of teaching, and have a captive audience, not have people like, oh, this is different than what I'm used to. I'm going to go down the street to the other black belt. I'm going to go across town to the other black belt, because Vancouver, there's a ton of legit choices.
Yes, there is.
So I got to run this experiment here, and I got to be close to my family. And as a result, we've developed kind of a worldwide reputation. So I'm not saying it wouldn't have been possible in Vancouver. It would have been much harder.
Right.
So this way, I get to be close to family. I get to run this experiment, which has been wildly successful. And I get to enjoy the more laid-back lifestyle. Like, I'm very driven when it comes to work. I believe in delivering the best possible service, product, training, environment, all that kind of stuff. But I also don't want to have to sit in traffic for 45 minutes.
Right.
I don't want to have to pay $2 million for a home, and all that kind of stuff. So it all kind of dovetailed together.
Yeah, it all sounds really familiar. So with that in mind, you're here, you're on the island, you're running this successful business. Most of your clientele, presumably, a lot of islanders, and so you have that island culture. So tell me about how that island lifestyle influences the culture of Island Top Team.
Yeah, well, so like I said, I do believe in providing the best. Like, on the one hand, I want people on the island to kind of, I want to create a culture of aspiring to your best life, to your best potential, how to fulfill that. The flip side, so like that's me trying to influence people on the island, me trying to influence my students. The flip side and how the island is influencing me, as I mentioned before, I want to live when I'm not working. I want to be more laid back. I'm learning to relax. I'm a very driven person. And again, if I had situated myself in a big city, that kind of drive, it would have spilled into my life outside of work. Whereas here, I'm able to take in what the island vibe is, which is say, just relax, take it easy. This ain't the mainland, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm able to still bring a ton of focus into my work and work hard when I want to, which is most of the time. But when I don't, I can completely relax. And I'm working on relaxing even more. Like, when I got here, it's like go,
Sure,
go,
you
go,
have
go.
to, yeah.
And now that I've established a successful business and it's been successful beyond my wildest dreams, I kind of realized that, man, like at 40, I'm almost retired in the sense that if I wanted to not work, I could not work.
Yeah.
And I could go out to Tofino and learn how to surf. I could go hiking in the mountains if I was inclined. Not particularly, but and it's more just about enjoying the pace of a life that isn't completely driven by work, where my work is my passion, and so I do it for that reason. But if I didn't have a job that I was passionate about, didn't have a business that was so all-consuming, I would just be able to kind of step back a little bit and enjoy the pace of the island.
Cool, I love it. It sounds so familiar, and I always talk about one of our core values for the John Cooper Group is we call life-work integration, and for me, that means that just being able to transition from work to play like so seamlessly, and it's so easy to do here, and yet so difficult in many of our other surrounding markets.
Absolutely.
So there's here in Nanaimo, even there's all communities, there's a lot of choices for people that are looking to pursue martial arts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find in being a lifelong martial artist myself, the general public, doesn't have a real understanding of, they think martial arts are martial arts. Yep. But here in Nanaimo, we've got Taekwondo, boxing, karate, Kung Fu, a plethora of different options. What is different about Island Top Team, and maybe more specifically, what's different about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, what's different about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I shouldn't say just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but in the martial arts, we tend to kind of qualify things as traditional martial arts and then more like mixed martial arts, which is not even really an accurate thing. I use the term like pressure-tested arts and not pressure-tested arts.
Oh, I like that.
Most martial arts are, we call them LARPing. If you don't know what LARPing is, it's like live action role-playing.
I just learned this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's going into the woods and pretending you're a wizard. That's what most martial arts that people are familiar with are. And I don't say that to be too derogatory, but it's just, I think that honesty in advertising is really important.
Yeah.
If you're teaching Kung Fu to people and telling them that they're actually going to learn how to protect themselves, then you're lying. If you're teaching certain styles of karate, if you're teaching, really most of the martial arts that are presented to people as fighting are not fighting because there's no pressure testing.
Right.
Pressure testing occurs in what I think a lot of people might know as combat sports. Wrestling, judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing, that kind of stuff. Amongst those arts, boxing's great and Muay Thai is great, but only if you're willing to endure head trauma are you actually going to become proficient as a fighter.
Right.
And I think most people aren't, right? Unless you want to be brain dead when you're 50, you don't want to have people punching you in the head over and over again, multiple times a week. And that's what it takes to become proficient in some of those arts.
Right.
So as far as actually providing a practical pressure-tested method of self-defense, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is pretty much it. If you're a woman and you weigh 110 pounds, I don't care how good you are at boxing, you're not going to knock out a 200-pound man easily.
Right.
Whereas, given enough training, what's unique about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a smaller, weaker individual can use physics and body mechanics to either overcome or at least escape a larger, more powerful opponent. So I think that's the inherent appeal of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is that it's real, we're doing it. And what makes Island Top Team unique, at least in this market, is we are the only legit option. If you want world class, if you want a black belt, if you want a place that people come from all over the planet to come and train because of our methodology, then that's what's unique about Island Top Team. We offer a standard of training, of environment that you just can't get anywhere else in Central Vancouver Island.
Great. I've never heard it explained as pressure tested. I think it's such a great way of identifying the differentiating between the arts. So that's awesome. What would people be surprised to know about you and your business here?
Well, I think Certainly in Nanaimo, I think most people would be surprised to know that we have turned Nanaimo into a world destination for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We have an online academy, which is called bjjconcepts.net, and we have a following from all over the planet. We've got hundreds of subscribers, and prior to that, I had done some projects that were very well received, again, all around the world. And so we have this visiting student program where people can come and train with us. Last year, we had about 60 people from all over the planet, like literally South America, all over North America, Asia, Australia. I have this weird thing where I want someone from each continent.
Yeah, it's great. Any night, you never know what you're going to encounter on the mat.
Yeah, exactly. So we get this great influx of wonderful visitors who are coming here specifically to Nanaimo to train at Island Top Team to learn our methodology for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The only continent we've got missing is Antarctica. We've got Asia, like Africa. Someone from everywhere has come and visited us. And so we're still holding out. Somebody's going to come up from Antarctica. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that. I think people might be aware that Island Top Team exists. We have a pretty decent presence in the community, but I don't think people realize just how much of a presence we have in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu around the world, and how much of a goal it is for some people to actually just come here and train. And so hopefully the local community, once they start to recognize that, they'll realize what they've got here.
Well, it's fascinating for me. As you know, I've been sort of in and out of martial arts for almost 20 years now, had the privilege of training at a lot of different clubs and under different instructors, and really your methodology, the way that you break down jiu-jitsu and martial arts is very, very unique, and I know that's really what's gotten out there. People like me, when they see it, they recognize it right away as being different, but not only just different, it's different and incredibly effective in terms of just shaping your understanding of what your intentions are in the art. And so I'm not surprised to hear people are coming from all over the world to experience what you've built here. So last question for you, Rob, and this is, we're going to shift from the real business stuff to just learning a little bit more about you when you're not the black belt instructor here at Island Top Team. So, where's that one place on Vancouver Island that you like to go to that both inspires you and energizes you, fills your cup so that you can come back here and give your students the energy that they need from you?
Well, unfortunately, this won't be as much of a departure from black belt Rob as you might want, because where I go is to Tofino.
Yeah.
And in Tofino, we host an annual surf jitsu weekend.
Yeah.
And we go out on the beach and we do jiu-jitsu on the beach, and then we go out and we do surfing in the mornings. I rent a house, I bring my students, and we have like barbecues, and it's a wonderful team building event. Cool. So I like to go to Tofino for that reason. And in doing that, I've discovered some areas around Tofino. There's a wonderful resort. It's called the Black Rock.
Oh, yeah.
It's in Ucluelet, which is a little bit south of Tofino. So I've been there a couple of times. I actually brought my mom. I'm really close with my mom. Obviously, one of the reasons I moved to Nanaimo was to be around her. So I took her there last year. And I think that's somewhere that I really enjoy. I enjoy the drive down there. As you might have noticed, I'm into cars. Yeah. So the drive to Tofino or to Ucluelet, it's a great drive. Yeah, it's a wonderful drive. And so I would say that's the place on the island that I would go to recharge, to be inspired.
That's a great choice. That's a nice spot out there. It's incredible energy coming from Mother Nature when you walk out onto that west coast. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, that's been great, Rob. I think I told you in the introduction that I was going to be challenging Rob to a duel. We know that if you're a martial artist and you beat a black belt, that you take their black belt along with all of its power. And so I'm after that. I'm after that belt. And so we're gonna give this a shot here. And Rob, I don't want you to hold back. Okay. I want everything you've got, and I'm coming after that belt. So,
sounds good.
All right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Felt like you were holding back a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Like, do not hold back. I want that black belt. Let's try this again. Okay. Full speed this time. Okay. Okay, you got one.
Yeah. All right.